Here we have two questions which are very similar. What consciousnesses are working with us at this moment? And the other one is, how do we consider the spiritual hierarchy here in Figueira? Well, the consciousnesses that are working with us are the spiritual hierarchy, the members of the hierarchy, or the elevated consciousnesses, which could be in the planetary field or the sun field or even brother. So we have some names that are found in the esoteric glossary. There are still many names missing, but as they're not there, we haven't placed them here. So you'll know how to find more data about these hierarchies and therefore understand more profoundly what consciousnesses are working with us, what they do, and what we owe them, and what we can do to collaborate with them. They are all to be found in the glossary. What we call as a hierarchy is a consciousness which has already transcended material evolution, and they are evolving out of this mental evolving, and they are integrated in service, but from a cosmic point of view and not in immediate sense. But even if the hierarchy is working with us directly, they are integrated in the cosmic point of view of our evolution. So referring to a moment, they're not referring to a moment of our lives, but they take into account our cosmic trajectory because they have this consciousness. And those hierarchies take on the tasks of the evolutionary plan, and they respond to the laws of the universe in which they are acting on. So if a hierarchy comes to act on Earth, so they will be answering to the laws of the Earth, and if they go to other planets, they will follow the laws of each planet. The hierarchy works in all laws. They're integrated with all laws. These hierarchies enter a planet or emerge on a planet when that planet is in the energy circuit of the central government of the cosmos. So if there is a planet which is not in a flow of energy according to the cosmic central, so the hierarchy emerges when the energy of the planet is linked to that central consciousness of the entire cosmos. So those hierarchies know the purpose for that planet, they know the destiny of that planet, and they start stimulating the planet and all beings that are on the planet to follow the direction of this purpose. So the beings of a planet could not know, as they don't, the evolutionary purpose and the one for the planet. The hierarchy of the planet knows that purpose, and they inspire all those beings, and they help the planet become aware of their purpose, because not all planets, as the planet has awareness of this, so that planet needs a hierarchy, a solar hierarchy, which may have a consciousness much elevated and much more elevated to fulfill this purpose. So these members of the hierarchy are representatives of the central heavenly will for that planet. That hierarchy represents that will, which the planet not always know. While there were no hierarchies on Earth because the hierarchies only came at a certain point. When there were no hierarchies on Earth, that's when humanity didn't have a physical body yet. They were in an etheric level, astral level, and when humanity was still in a non-physical state, there were planets such as Venus and Saturn, which Venus and Saturn would mirror what was the purpose of the Earth, and they transmitted it here energetically and as mirrors, and this took place through these two planets without us having any hierarchies here until the second human race, which was not physical yet. Humans did not start in physical plane. It was not physical. So the second race started to emerge, and then the hierarchy came from other planets, from other planes, not here. But when this hierarchy started, they didn't enter all the planes of the world. That's why we say that it only began in the third human race, which was finally physical. So it was integrated in all levels. But it was already present before, but just not in all planes. So there was a preparation for human race to enter this physical body, and this was a great work of the hierarchy. There was this preparation to materialize, and then there was a more important and strong task, which was the materialization of our permanent atoms, because with the materialization of our permanent atoms we could reconstruct bodies of each incarnation. So this was all the work of the hierarchy as the materialization of humanity started. This was very important, the planetary center Ibera, that we have studied a few times, because Ibera is an energetic planetary center, was the base in which the hierarchy supported to have this whole work, both from the permanent atom. It was also very important, the center of Ibera, which already existed as a planetary center, because this enabled the materialization in the physical plane of that which was the Lord of the world at a time, because the Lord of the world remained in very inner and profound levels. And with this work of the hierarchy of liberating about atoms, there was a reformulation, and the Lord of the world, the one which was the consciousness of the world, could reach the etheric plane. And with this, they could also come from different countries, some energies and beings or consciousnesses that came to create the possibility of these human beings having a soul, a superior self. So this was all the work of this hierarchy, together with flames and pulses which would come from planet Venus. So here the hierarchy was installed, and humanity was materialized with the possibility of this inner self evolving, would cause a great difference regarding the animal kingdom here on this planet. So from then on, the hierarchy was established. In the beginning, it was all formed by extraplanetary consciousnesses or extragalactic consciousnesses, and then they started developing works so that the life of the planet would be taken and not those prehistoric news that you have. So the elevation of life in all senses was a task of that hierarchy here on this planet. From the beginning, the hierarchy looked to transform, to value all that which was common, all that which was in something more elevated. So there is no contact with the hierarchy without elevation. It's one of the goals of the hierarchy, one of the tasks of the hierarchy, to elevate everything that it touches in quality, value everything that has to do with them. It's also work of the hierarchy to transform everything that seems to be normal into something very significant. So everything that has a normal trajectory and a certain level of manifestation, consciousness, is the work of the hierarchy to transform that into something significant that goes beyond this level of neutrality. And from the beginning until today, the hierarchy comes improving the work of approaching the consciousness of the earth, the planet, and the one from cosmos, and everything that is in the consciousness of Terra, of the earth. The hierarchy impels them to make a bridge beyond this earth. Once in a while there is the need for a consciousness like this to have a physical body and be among humankind, including so that their energy can touch this physical matter in which humanity is, and thus enter a different vibration, a different rhythm. So a hierarchy at a certain point they could reincarnate, coming with one of its extensions to the physical body. They will have a different meaning to all that material. But for this to take place, a hierarchy needs to be very limited. No hierarchies can incarnate just as they are. What is incarnated is an extension, a thread that comes and incarnates, because a hierarchy consciousness would not fit into a material and physical body. And when this extension of the hierarchy takes so that the hierarchy may not lose substance without characteristics, but for it to have value, real value. All of this is a very great risk, because this is an extension of the hierarchy, and it gets into contact with material karma, because the hierarchy could no longer be in the material karma. They could be in the law of cyclic evolution and not this material evolution in which we are. So this material karma touches this extension, and this is very delicate. Something linked to a planet, something that it was not always. And as the hierarchy incarnates into a car that was a vehicle that was granted, so this hierarchy assumes the karma of those vehicles. So the hierarchy could be here among us incarnated. This is very rare, but they could be here incarnated and living a karmic process of those bodies, from the physical body and the other bodies. So here we have they are acting a lot at this moment together with humanity. And if we see each one of them, also the definitions of the esoteric glossary, will eventually find part of our process, and then we'll identify what hierarchy is eventually working in that same stage in which we work in. So Amar, which represents the first ray, in the half the that hierarchy has the task of instructing certain groups of monads. So our monad could be in the group in which instruction comes from Amar. They work with groups of monads, so they are in ashrams. In the book, the Forming Healers, in the book, The Voice of Amar. So Amar is a hierarchy that is in a lot of contact with us. One of us, the first groups that were in contact with us were led by Amar as well. So this is a hierarchy very close with the collection of life here. But another hierarchy that we could find in the glossary is the one that controls Amunakur, which has the consciousness of a logos, a very advanced consciousness. And that hierarchy so the Earth today is a very connected planet to that which can be connected in the cosmos. And Amunakur as a hierarchy, it impels the consciences of all the beings on the planet with no exceptions. It's a hierarchy that has this is out of consciousness and impelling everything. If there is a saint here on earth, Amunakur will be there. If there is a small cell, there is nothing out of this hierarchy. So Antioch that we know as Saint Germain, that works balance on the planet and in humanity, works on determination, will, and Antioch is also impelling everything that is transmutation. Transmutation of matter, transmutation in general, this change of matter into something subtler. Antioch is bringing back to humanity the possibility for us to our lives to be material. Antioch is the one who contacts us to these immaterial laws as a humanity. Antioch is the greatest command. Then we have Ashtar, which is a branch of Christic hierarchy, which is a source of instruction for humanity. There are many beings of the Ashtar hierarchy on earth. Ashtarsgram and Ashtarshram are the most known ones. Ashtarasgram, which radiates the new patterns of spiritual life, because and Ashtarasgram is radiating in the spiritual life of the earth in a general way. And Ashtarsharam, which is another one of this hierarchy, leading evolutionary forces out of planet Earth. So the Earth has a lot of negative energies, as we know, and all the negative forces that come, they will be in charge. And then we have the name of Christ, the consciousness that express all universal laws. In this Christic energy, there is no universal law missing. And it brings to earth all universal laws that the earth can take. This hierarchy is very fundamental. Kotolim channels the second ray. It is in Mr. as a hierarchy, and it channels because Kotolim has a ray of consciousness that goes a lot beyond the solar system, so they channel these energies to Earth and for the transmutation of terrestrial consciousness, because so that the planet can so this consciousness of the earth is being watched and impelled by Cthulhu. Maya, that works with the mirrors. Maya works with the mirrors of the cosmos Maitreya, which is one of the instructors of the world, one of the greatest hierarchies, very mysterious, but represents instruction in itself. These are not individuals. So to say that Maitreya's instruction for the world is better than to think that Maitreya is a being. And we would have to approach Maitreya so that we can become instructed, so that Maitreya, as a part of our beings and their consciousness, allow this. Maitreya is Mayuma, which is a solar hierarchy, not from this planet, but it represents the Earth, because it does not have a formal thing. Those who visit the Earth from the intergalactic point of view, there are no terrestrials, because none could reach this point, and Mayuma is the solar consciousness having this role. Mishuk, that we have as a very in the intraterrestrial plane of Mirnajad, and radiates love and wisdom to this planet. It has a consciousness that expands and works in extraplanetary. Mishuk, which is so close to us, has different, even extra-systemic. Mituma, which is a solar hierarchy, is in charge for the rescue of human beings. When we read these definitions and connect to these things, we innerly make contacts, we prepare the path, the threads. It's as if we are entering into something that is working. Nicholas, which is also a very studied. Nicholas, in our comprehension, would be the consciousness of archangel. Although having the consciousness of an archangel, it has been manifested in material level, so this consciousness is very different. Nicholas even materializes like a real common man. Ostimuk, which is a hierarchy of Mistitlan, prepares the planet from Mistitlan to start understanding with energies and materials. So Sikuma, which is the solar hierarchy from the greater commandment of the center of Erx, impels human kingdom to return to their origins. Sikumas, it's as if they were calling us to go back home because our home is not here, right? So Sikumas always attracting us towards that plane of cosmic consciousness where we came from, where we are raised, where we must return. So the symbol of Sikuma for us that is the picture of Sikuma doing this work of attraction. Soin, which is an intergalactic consciousness, it's one of the brothers hierarchies that we have, that we are aware of. It's a consciousness that runs the alpha vessel. Soin has a total, because the new genetic code which is being implanted on this humanity of surface, this new medical code is at the charge of these gardeners of the space, and with the alpha vessel, Soin is doing this task. It's one of the most. They got in contact with us. Taikuma. It's an intermediary between the terrestrial consciousness and the center of cosmos. So Taikuma, it's like a bridge for consciousness to be transmitted towards the central nuclei of the cosmos, towards here in Taikuma. Through mirrors they work on this, and this communication really happens. The Tibetan is another hierarchy mentioned in the glossary. It's a hierarchy of second. It's a Christic hierarchy and works forming information and instruction to humanity. We met the Tibetan through the books that he dictated to Alice Bailey. They work on our so that we can represent the earth outside of the earth, like to have a representative for planet Earth. So this is one of the tasks of the Tibetan, and we have the name of Varuna. This is a very special hierarchy because it's a Deva. It's part of the Deva kingdom. which is this agitated sea. So Varuna links the mental with the physical. Only a deva could do this. It's as if it was purity itself. So this connection between the level and the physical done in this devic mental, it's as if so that they could be it represents purity itself. And finally, we Taikon, that commands several bases of operation and the rescue operation. It has a direct connection with Samana, and towards the means of communication here on the planet. Certain technical resources are quite advanced, so this hierarchy, it counts on the development of the planetary consciousness to develop communications more. So there is a lot of communication yet to be revealed, but is awaiting a little more development from the human consciousness. We didn't see the name of Moria in Sanjiman, because Moria is Amar and Sanjiman is Antuak, corresponds to Antuak. These only things for you to dedicate, and at a certain point feeling a devotion for something, and then a more direct contact begins. There's no literature books about this. That's why the glossary is an entry door for us to eventually have some inner work.